we're going to look at today are polls, surveys, emails, comments, hearing the voice of the people from our online engagement. We realize that it is truly not good times any longer. Feels like we're not moving up, but going backwards. And it's no longer the days of the Cosby, but truly, we are feeling that it is a different world when you look at the landscape of the Black TV experience in 2012. So as we look at the Black TV experience, we're going to see what you, the viewer, the online community, shared. The Thankful Revolution, under the leadership of Miriam Stevens, went and explored this topic through a series of social media engagement activities. Time period, November and December 2011. The Thankful Revolution conducted several social media conversations on the topic. The Black TV experience. Is the internet filling the void for providing quality programs? Several persons joined in to share their comments and opinions. And the following slides will give the results of the polls, survey, forums, questions of the days, Q&As, questionnaires, and other. We thank you for joining us today as we look at how you feel about the current state of the Black television experience. When we looked at an initial poll asking Blacks in television, are traditional networks or web TV the place to see quality Blacks in TV? There was one response, and that was yes to web TV, filling the void for providing quality TV. We put up another poll asking who provides better quality television content for the Black community, giving the options of traditional networks, internet TV, cable, YouTube, Netflix, and other. The results were 45.83% of the voters chose cable, whereas internet and web TV was at 12.5%, and the traditional networks at 10.47%. We did have one comment from Miriam Stevens, who felt that in this day and era, with such a great platform to be able to produce, create, and showcase quality programs online, that the internet and web TV is a perfect place to provide artists and the Black community with positive programs. And recently, this poll was updated and has an additional response where now 13% or 6 votes feel that the internet and web TV do agree that this is where you can get quality programs for the Black community. If you'd like to continue to vote or join in the conversation, you can go to polldaddy.com or visit the Thankful Revolution at thethankfulrevolution.com, and you can cast your vote because your voice does matter. We also held forums, different ones. We had 2. Is web TV replacing the traditional networks for providing quality shows for the African American community? And secondly, are there still stereotypes for the roles that blacks portray in television? On that last poll question, Michael Barbarita replied, I believe internet TV at a minimum is closing the void. Maybe not completely closing the void due to stereotypes for the roles that blacks portray in television, but certainly closing the gap. Overall, internet TV is closing the void for everyone, not just people of color. Today, one's voice can be heard for a lot less money and effort than ever before. So Michael thinks the internet is closing the void, but still thinks there are stereotypes. Prophet Jerry Bruner also responded, I'm a bit baffled at what's on TV and rarely have time to view much other than ER or CSI when I do. And usually it is Christian programs, and every once in a while with my family, we'll laugh a little at some of the comedic banter, which is typically full of buffoonery. I remember when TV had shows like Julia, a program that had a star in the 60s of a black woman portraying a nurse. Also, when Bill Cosby wasn't the cause, but a detective in I Spy. I personally would prefer more realistic shows where people of color are producing and directing side by side the lead roles as well, and people of color are now representative of county legislators, senators, business owners, honest men and women in pastoral roles. Not the usual foolishness either. Seeing families with real issues, such as someone battling with a major illness and how it seriously affects the family, or financing siblings' college tuition. Yes, humor, it is beneficial, but not always the focus, nor jail as an outlet or prostitution. And let's not forget the drug and alcoholism rampant in most of the programs reflecting us. Obviously, I need to upscale my viewing time online since that's lacking too. We're not all athletically inclined or a rapper, singer, or as stated earlier, full of comedic idiocracy. But please understand, all that I spoke negatively about doesn't portray me as obtuse. These methods have long-standing stereotypical method to draw viewers of different persuasions. P.S. I do periodically use YouTube as well. Therefore, Prophet Bruner would like to see more realistic shows where people of color are represented, embracing our varied backgrounds like pastors, senators, presidents, doctors, CEOs, and not just show us as rappers, criminals, athletes. He'd like to see us in lead roles. He'd like to veer away from always seeing people of color in idiotic comedy roles. And he'd like to see more black people directing and producing these quality shows. When we looked at question of the day and Q&A, questionnaires, emails, we asked a couple of these questions to our viewing audience and our online community. Some were, who is doing a better job of providing rich, diverse, quality, non-stereotypical programs for the culturally different people of color audience? What kind of television programs would you like to see provided to meet the needs for a culturally diverse people of color audience? Is there a reluctance for providing majority culturally diverse casts or predominantly all people of color casts in primetime television spots by traditional networks? Are there quality programs that have a majority culturally diverse cast and predominant roles filled by people of color, supported for multiple seasons by traditional networks? Do majority culturally diverse casts with prominent roles filled by people of color get well-written scripts and storylines? Do you see more opportunities for majority culturally diverse casts with predominant roles filled by people of color, more or less, on traditional television network versus internet, web TV channels? And have culturally diverse programs with predominant roles filled by people of color been on the rise or decline in the last 20, 30, 40 years? So one of the questions of the day, what do you think about the state of network television showing predominantly quality black shows? Should there be more? Well, the bottom line, blacks watch more TV than any other race. have large spending habits, and the population is growing more than any others except Hispanic, based on the census projections. And that's out of our census.gov. Currently, black population around 13%. The largest percentage of TV viewers come from the black population at 14 million, and that source is from Nielsen surveys. And also in Nielsen, you also show that blacks are watching television more than any other group, and they watch more hours of television. So, what are we talking about today? In fact, it seems that since 1990, predominantly black shows have dwindled to nothingness on network stations. Why is that? Well, we also took these questions and more to our email campaign, and some of the results are as follows. Erica Ward from Divine Concept Group shared, "What do you think about the state of network television showing predominantly quality black shows? Should there be more?" Well, yes, major yes. Most of their ratings are because of us. Maybe if letters were written demanding better programming, or a nationwide petition demanding quality representation of African American families and life, it could happen for networks. It's all about money and ratings. I cannot recall any all-black family value programming like The Waltons, Little House on the Prairie, The Partridge Family. Programming about us has not always sent a nurturing message to the generations. It's time to see us in real life, normal situation. I like to see a show written for a white cast it to mostly black actors, and see how that pans out. Interestingly, I'm sure. Erica continues in her general observations that do you think the major network executives support black programs? No. If they did, we would see them. Her general observations: more dramas are needed. Don't feel there are a lot of network movies representing blacks, and need more true depictions of black experience, as well as need more serious roles. An all-black cast series, something without the comedic themes. We'll recommend a theme such as program promoting strong, positive black male and role models, and balanced, well-rounded families based on real life, not stereotypes. Carl Thompson also shared in his Q&A responses, are there stereotypes when sharing the black experience through television program? The basic stereotypes still flourish. Black men are angry due to the man keeping them down. Well, how is the media shaping the perceptions of how the black community looks? Well, Willie Lynch plan is still at work. Till we know our past, we can't fix the future. The media isn't really shaping the perception. It's just allowed to choose what part they want to show. I don't think the media really thinks it would benefit by putting down the black community. However, they can accentuate the negative and play down the positive. Not many entities at the top want to empower their subordinates. We can shape the perceptions through our own actions and creations. For the past 25 years, how has television changed regarding including diverse content? Hasn't changed very much, really. We peaked at the Cosbys. The next step would have been to have that type of family deal with outside issues. Most things they dealt with were within the family. They were self-contained. They were special. The problems of the world didn't affect the Huxtables. That's why they had a long run. They were safe in that fishbowl. Strangely enough, NBC had its best commercial success then too. Well, who controls what is produced? Is this a rhetorical question? He laughs. Hate to name drop again, but it validates the point. Spike Lee said people think he is a powerful director, but studios have their gold promotions, silver promotions, and bronze promotions, and he almost always got the bronze promotion, which means fewer commercials, fewer ads, fewer billboards. So you have the greatest story never heard. Traditional networks have no reason. Bob Johnson told us he wouldn't make any original series because it costs money. Therefore, it wouldn't have to make money. We thought it would be he needed a guarantee. He said he makes money showing videos that people give him for free. Dutton, meaning Charles Dutton, can't think of his first name, but that was his first name, came to BET with rock. And after Fox let him go, Bob turned him down because he wanted money. Just to give you a little insight into the background and credentials of Carl Thompson, know that not all of the responders were just consumers or outside TV viewers, but Carl also has a background within the media and television community. He got his BA in mass media at Hampton University, worked with WVEC, which is ABC in Hampton, WTTG Fox, Washington, D.C., WJLA ABC, Washington, D.C., and BET in Washington, D.C. over 15 years in the television industry doing production work. So, when he shares of his background, he is giving some insider input into the Black television experience. We also took our questions to Twitter and saw that online Twitter responders had something to say when it talks about the Black television experience and the landscape of Black TV today. By_Felicia shared, if you think about it, Black in the day, Blacks ran television. Example, Cosby Show, Different World, Family Matters, Fresh Prince, Living Single, and Martin. Also, Miss Watching Glue 81, well, for that, especially when you look at TV today, in the U.S., there are very few positive representations of Blacks. Those who directly responded to at Thankful Revolt, the question of the day, what's your take on the state of network TV showing predominantly quality Black shows? At Thankful Revolt response from at Ashley, _Reynolds, there aren't nearly enough and absolutely should be more. At 8+9 response, at Thankful Revolt, networks aren't in tune with authentic Black life, but in their defense, the stuff pitched to them is hella whack. And finally, at Young_Deezy, at Thankful Revolt, hell yeah, there should be more Black TV shows. You can have enough. Just don't make us look dumb like Flavor of Love. We also took our questions to Facebook and received some replies there. One respondent was CV Diane Whitley Hodges. When she responded to, what's your take on the television network showing, developing, producing, and keeping Black TV shows on air? She replied, I believe that television networks should do all of the above. There are people such as our race that desires to see people of color on TV. I don't like turning on the TV and seeing just one race. There are many races represented in the U.S. Our young people need to see people of their own race. This will inspire them that nothing is beyond their reach. We also conducted various surveys. We did two, one with 5 responses and the other one with 43 responses. For this keynote slide presentation, we'll be looking at the one with the 43 responses, and each survey had 20 questions. Question 1. Who is doing a better job in providing rich, diverse, quality, and non-stereotypical programs for the culturally different people of color audience? Is it traditional networks or internet, web-based channels? In this, we see that the internet web-based channels getting 22.2% of the response, with 12 responses. We also saw that other got 24.1%. And traditional television got 7.4% with only 4 responses. Some of the comments were from this question 1. Well, both have influence from different cultures and perspectives. I would have to see more internet TV to give an honest assessment. I haven't really viewed any internet web-based TV channels, and I rarely ever watch TV. Television is still relatively backed by Caucasians and corporate American ownership. There is greater diversity on the internet. The internet is the great equalizer. I love it. We can control everything from conception to distribution. Both are equally accessible and both offer similar amounts of content. I'd probably say web has a slight edge because, to some degree, either race, color can actually upload what they deem relevant. Web has content for anyone and everyone. An example would be the comedy and drama, The Misadventure of Awkward Black Girl. Culturally diverse casts can be seen on YouTube. Unfortunately, I haven't been tuning in to internet and web-based channels, so you can see there was a mixture of comments for and against web TV or traditional networks. Question 2. What kind of television programs would you like to see provided to meet the needs for culturally diverse people of color audience? They had the options of human interest stories, reality TV, comedy, adventure, dramedy, westerns, documentaries, action, science fiction, faith-based, all of the above or other. You'll see that it rounded out with 20.9 saying other, 41.9% said all of the above, 7% went for faith-based, and then we even had documentaries rounding up at 11.6%. Human interest stories at 7.0%. All the comments were pretty much saying that they would like to see all these types of categories filled with predominantly black shows or quality shows featuring predominantly black casts. And even sci-fi and fantasy seem to usually have a white genre, but they're interested in seeing blacks in those roles more so. But there was an adamant no more baby mama drama and no more of these images of people sleeping around with each other's boyfriends and girlfriends. They like to see it all, but they really are not too keen on reality shows. So all of the above would be what they would like to see portrayed, positive images for people of color. Is there a reluctance for providing majority culturally diverse casts or predominantly all people of color cast in primetime television spots by traditional networks? You had overwhelmingly yes at 30.2% or 13 responses. Excuse me. And we asked that, and we got some comments and responses, and some of them were very insightful. Excuse me. One said most of the better ESPN anchors are men and women of color. And they also agreed why, that they felt that the internet was providing better avenues. Was one, the money motive, what sells as opposed to what makes sense. Or two, the lack of representation in the ranks. Well, this is what they were giving as support of why there was a reluctance for the majority for culturally diverse programming through the traditional networks. We also asked this and reiterated the same question and found still we had 34.9% still saying yes, there is a reluctance for providing majority culturally diverse cast or predominantly all people of color cast. And then you had 14% or 6 responders saying no. Again, some of the comments were lack of commitment to rectify the problems. And that they're just basically, there are diverse cast shows out there. It's just reflective of statistics. So you'll get 1 or 2 people of color cast, and that's about it. Number 5 asks, are there quality programs that have majority culturally diverse cast in predominant roles filled by people of color, supported for multiple seasons by traditional networks? Traditionally, we got 30.2% at no, and then 20.9% at yes, and then 48.8% said other. Most of these shows have been canceled the series ER. Personally, the other programs simply provide a mind-numbing release from most people's routine doldrums. It seems that different shows, like there are a few examples, but these compared to the white counterparts aren't as commercially viable. ABC has Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, as well as NBC Community, and The Game, Let's Stay Together, and Read Between the Lines are all on BET. I don't think that's traditional, though. Traditional as in the Alphabet Network? There have been, however, they are lucky if they made the second season and overachieving if they made the third. Not in the lead role, though. I feel that there is another form of hidden racism. However, BET has several shows that cast people of color in leading roles, but personally, I find a large number of those shows offensive to blacks. We are more than just jive talking, shucking and cooning and rapping bad actors, actresses. Lack of commitment and awareness and sensitivity, and also a lack of exposure and a willingness to become exposed to the different cultures. At least not to my knowledge. You may find one or two blacks on a predominantly white show, but that is about it. Probably the closest show I can think of today is The Closer. Too many reality show, teen shows, and stereotypical roles being seen on television with people of color in them cast in a secondary or accompanying role. Excuse me. Do majority culturally diverse casts with predominant roles filled by people of color get well-written scripts and storylines? In this, we see that 12 respondents at 27.9% said no. Excuse me. We also see that 7 responses at 16.3% said yes. And then the other category came out with 55.8% or 24 responses. Excuse me. Well, when you looked at some of the responses to this question, it said that culturally diverse writers are available but not always vetted. You seldom look at the buffoonery most people of color are portrayed in, or the crime shows where generally people of color are the criminals, and they're made out to be clowns for the most part. I don't know. Good writers make good scripts. If a show has a good writer, no matter the diversity, it will have a good script behind it. And then, again, we see the lack of commitment, awareness, and sensitivity, and also the lack of exposure and willingness to become exposed to different cultures. All this rounding up to is there well-written scripts and great storylines available for people of color today. Do you see more opportunities for a majority culturally diverse cast with predominant roles filled by people of color, more or less, on traditional television networks versus internet or web TV channels? When we answered this, we saw that the internet and web TV channels got 20.9% of the votes at 9 responses. The other category got 37.2% or 16 responses. And traditional television only got 1 vote at 2.3 responses. There can be on television people of color have to watch it. Online it's easier, so you get a lot of predominantly cast webisodes with blacks or people of color cast. Too vanilla or cookie cutter. You don't get to watch much TV, and when I am online, it's usually ministry or business. I don't know. More on the internet, or I read books. Our roles are static on traditional television. So you see, you have a good diversity of answers. And then you even say that of the 2 options, I would lean more towards internet and web-based channels. And the reason being, people can produce their own opportunities and upload them to the internet without having to go through the good old boil system and the casting couch. So there's more opportunities, more diverse selection, and more creative freedom. The only problem is the ability to access these channels. It has not happened in the past, no reason to believe it will happen in the future. So more opportunity to have control of content through the web. Have culturally diverse programs with predominant roles filled by people of color been on the rise or decline in the past 20 years? When you look at this question, the answers were pretty telling. The rise from traditional network standpoint, we got 2 saying yes on the rise in traditional TVs. That only gave us 4.7% out of the total 43 respondents. But when you saw the flip side of that, it is on the decline in traditional networks. That yielded 30.2% with 13 responses going to it's on the decline. We did see some rise or positive movement through the internet and online markets at 11.6% or 5 responses. And then the other category got 30.2% at 13 responses. In that other category, some of the comments were most roles and shows filled by people of color are on cable and satellite. But not all people have the ability to pay for TV, cable, and satellite. So shows such as The Cosby's, Room 222, that gave America a view into more than sports or traditional roles the guidance counselor suggested versus what was truly attainable. The internet has provided opportunity for mass exposure to the creative, dramatic, political, and academic works of people of color. People of color used to be all over the TV when it was all about the story. Now it's all about the money. I'm 24 years old, but I believe I saw more quality black shows with black writers and creators growing up than I do now. Hopefully, the internet will improve this. Not sure. Society is more accepting. We see at a standstill in traditional markets and rise on the internet. Are traditional networks or web TV the place where African American people of color have their work and talent, like scripts, acting, directing, and producing, supported and promoted? When you saw the answers, you got one person saying yes to traditional networks. That's only 2.3%. But you also had yes to web TV with 5 people supporting it at 11.6%. You had the undecided at 23.3% or 10 responses, and then the other at 32.6% or 14 responses. Web TV may have leverage to be more open to people of color to support and promote due to less emphasis on ratings and making money. There's less restrictions when advertisers aren't dictating the course of programs via their marketing budget. Actors like Tyler Perry have been able to make a name for themselves without outside help. I think they get as much support and promotion as they deserve. For example, Bill Cosby, his entire TV family, one of my favorite TV shows, by the way, among many others, their work is not supported because of what it is shown now. RuPaul's Drag Race or Logo Online is an example. My answer is based off of the success of Awkward Black Girls on YouTube. The creators' total control over every aspect. When someone makes it through the broadcasting scene, their vision is what remains their focus. The Wire was never even nominated for an Emmy because it showed stereotypical situations with complex actions and reasons. Not sure. Most of the shows regarding African Americans are on cable, not on national TV. And the last few predominantly black shows where black characters really got to show their talent were A Different World, The Bill Cosby Show, Living Single, Martin, Girlfriends, all now in syndication, and only The Cosby Show was on a major TV network. Diversity is available now, I think, to a limited extent. There are some venues to highlight the talent of people of color. I am surmising that internet web-based programming may offer additional opportunities because of greater access to that medium. Opportunity to write, produce, direct, and showcase talent of diverse persons to a large web-based audience with minimal cash outlay. Number 10. Is the image of a person, of the African American person of color, portrayed in a stereotypical role on the shows seen today? Well, with this answer, you got 41.9% or 18 responses of yes, still stereotypes today. You had 11.6 or 5 responses saying no. And then other was 34.9% or 15 responses. When you looked at some of the comments, you had predominantly black comedies usually exploit the black community. Writers and their storylines can be stereotypical depending on their perspective. Some said, I don't believe so. And others said, it depends on the TV show. Also, we had, it is actually worse thanks to reality TV. In shows that I watch, the scripts are well written and there is little stereotyping of races, if any. I generally stay away from shows that rely on stereotyping and such as weak writing. With the many TV shows that have traditionally white people, people of color come in drubs and drabs where it's relevant for the storyline, which means it ends up being a typical and predictable. But they can't refuse to play the roles because if you can't beat them, join them. I think it depends on the type of show. Reality television promotes stereotypical images of all races, especially black women. They portrayed as police, criminals, or illiterate. So yes, the only difference now is that African Americans are getting rich doing it. Note, rich, not wealthy. There are some really quality shows on both TV and cable that show African American in roles other than the stereotypical roles. More roles are outside of the normal stereotypical role, yes and no. In some ways, roles that are unfavorable, such as drug dealers, uneducated athletes, unwed parents, are common. However, more examples of hardworking, successful people of color must be portrayed. Most shows are either in roles of police or supporting police type roles. A few comedic roles, and now rise of reality TV gives maybe one person of color either a judge or a host role, but needs more quality roles, writing, and programs to feature African Americans in more than just a police, maybe a doctor here and there role. We are part of everyday life, culture in many fashions. Not only African Americans, but persons of color on a whole need to be better represented. So when we looked at our demographic of the respondents, we asked the age range, and typically the age range was mostly from 40 to 50 years of age. When you looked at the 40 to 45, you got 23.3%, and 46 to 50, you got 30.2%. We also asked the gender and the ethnic background. You got 60.5% overwhelmingly were female responders, 26 responses from females. Males were 39.5%, and that's 17 responses from men. What was the background? Overwhelmingly 81.4% or 35 responses of African American. We did have a few responses from the Caucasian background at 11.6% or 5 responses, and then there were some other 7% or 3 responses. We asked, how do you normally watch television? Most said normally through home and personal TV, 55.8% or 24 responses. And some said I use more than one way to view television, such as mobile devices, and that was 20.9% or 9 responses. What social media sites do you use to get your updates on what's new in television? When we sought that question, we got Facebook at 32.5%, 13 responses. We got Twitter at 17.5% or 7 responses. And then we had other, 37.5% or 15 responses. So some said I use the old-fashioned TV guide, or they get it updates through television advertisements. Some said I don't even use social media for that purpose. And some said it could be anywhere I happen to see or hear anything about TV programming. Question 16. How many hours of television do you watch a day? The average hours of TV watched from our respondents was between 0 to 3 hours at 62.2%. And then we had some that said 4 to 8 hours at 18.9%. That was 7 responses in that category. 9 to 12 hours, we had 2.7 or 1 respondent in that category. And then the other was 16.2%. Name 3 of your favorite shows and traditional network stations and or web TV channels that they're on. For example, Bounce TV, To Kill a Mockingbird, or Cubo, Jane and the Dragon, Pick TV Online, Diary of a Single Mom. And so when we looked at that, we had shows such as CSI, Psych, Big Bang Theory, Everybody Hates Chris. Let's look at some other ones. One said ABC, Once Upon a Time, ABC Revenge, CW, 90210, Dexter, Showtime, Real Housewives of Atlanta on Bravo. You got House of Pain, or The Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl online. You had CNN, you had Logo, you had Shark Tank, and then some gave Grey's Anatomy, or NBC, The Sing-Off. We had some that even dealt with the cooking shows, like Mexican Cooking with Rick Bayless on LWN. Psych again, The First 48 Hours on A&E TV, 2.5 Men, TBS, ESPN. So there was just a really great diversity of even the choice of what they liked to see and where they watched, whether it was traditional networks, cable TV, or online networks. What kind of program changes and content would you like to see where people of color and African Americans are portrayed in television? Well, the answers range from different kinds of images that people of color are seeing on television roles. 8.1% agreed with that. More quality scripts, which embody people of color and real life experiences. 32.4% or 12 responses wanted that. More actors and actresses of color in lead roles. 2.7 or 1 respondent. More directors of color. More producers of color. More consumer voice being taken seriously. Some, none of the above. We had 0 responses in that category. Or all of the above. We had 24.3% or 9 responses in that category. We even had undecided, 1 at 2.7%, and then other rounded up at 18.9% or 7 respondents there. Do you use Netflix, YouTube, and other websites to view the majority of your television programs? Yes at 8.1% or 3 responses. No at 54.1% or 20 responses. And then the other category rounded up at 37.8% or 14 responses. So usually personal TV is how most watched programs in this genre. Some quoted YouTube, Hula, Sidereel networks, Netflix. All of those were alternatives to the traditional networks in television. And finally, would you like to be included in continued conversations on this subject as this thesis develops? We had 8.1% say yes, 27.0% said no, 18.9% were undecided, and 45.9% were other. And then we have, as you see, various persons, emails, Facebook, Twitter, all of our social media engagement audience being able to share and continue in this topic discussion. So if you're interested in learning more about it, of course you can always contact Miriam Stevens via her Yahoo at Miriam Smith Stevens at yahoo.com, or go online to her channels such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the main site for the Thankful Revolution. Now, what we found quite interesting is the underlining theme that yes, the internet is providing a void or filling a void to provide quality black shows. And one article spoke to the creator and developer of Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. And this article interviewed Issa Rae, who is the creator and developer and producer of this, and it's by Diane Scholl. So we wanted to take a look at some of the things that was mentioned here. So in this web series, The Misadventure of Awkward Black Girls, star writer producer Issa Rae plays Jay, a socially awkward, boy-crazy, sarcastic black woman dealing with a sadistic boss, annoying co-workers, and love triangle. Since filming last year on shoestring budget, the series has gone viral and expanded its budget thanks to a grassroots fundraising campaign. And with the first season finale airing January 12, Ray talks to Vulture or Diane Scholl about the success and even a Hollywood meeting she had, and talks about how she was inspired to create this programming. How did you get the idea for this show? And Ray responded, it had been spinning in my head for about 2 years, but when I saw an article in Crush magazine called Where's the Black Liz Lemon, it caused me to just go ahead and do the web series. When 30 Rock started, I really appreciated it because Liz Lemon is awkward, and I identified with her. But it was frustrating that there were no characters like her that looked like me. Did you always plan to star in the show? Well, I was going to make it an animated series and cast someone else to play the voice. But when I was told by the animator that my budget was, well, not going to make it, I reconsidered everything. And then that is when she decided to go ahead and star in this program. Did you have a plan for how long the series would be? When I first started, I thought there would only be 7 episodes, but after 6 episodes, it was costing money. I had a 9-to-5 job, and it was pretty much me and my co-producer, Tracy Oliver, paying out of our own pockets. So we did a Kickstarter campaign and asked for $30,000 to complete 5 more episodes, and that was really lowballing it. We ended up raising almost double our goal of $56,000. Do you think your show could have existed without the web? Absolutely not. There's so many no black people aren't like that barriers in mainstream media. Why do you think that is? I don't think the mainstream media understands people of color are multi-dimensional. For some reason, there's an idea that only white people are relatable. I don't think it's necessarily racist, but it's odd, because people who watch the most television are black women, so we should be represented in more ways. It seems like the 90s, there were so many more sitcoms centered around black characters. Yes, Issa shares. It's so crazy how in the 90s, there was so much diversity on television and so many options on black television. My producing partner, Tracy Oliver, jokes she had the nerve to be picky back then. Like, I don't feel like watching Martin. I'll watch Living Single. We had options. We don't have many choices now. There are only a few select things. There are a lot of shows with diverse casts. Yes, they are, but the black cast on TV are normally the sidekicks. They're very insignificant. You could just put all the black sidekicks on one show and it would be the most boring, one-dimensional show ever. Have other high-profile people reached out to you because of the show? Yes, it's been really crazy. Gabrielle Union reached out. And speaking of the 90s, Kim Cole from Living Single. Finally, will you turn Awkward Black Girl into a full-length show? After meeting with a couple of different executives in television and seeing our visions don't really align, I don't want to sell my life to it now. In one meeting, during the first 10 seconds, the guy said, "The show is pretty funny. This is about a typical black woman with her black women problems." And then he said, "Big names were necessary to make it to television. Everything we were against, he was for." It was just one meeting, but for me, that was all I needed to realize we're in the right space. And I realized I'm not ready to bear those things just yet. For seasons 2, we're working to build our audience and leverage our audience to the network. The Thankful Revolution and others did chime in online and gave kudos to Issa Rae for her ingenuity and fortitude to go beyond on the network online, and also to just make sure that she keeps her vision through maintaining that webisode and not sell out. So yes, there are many who chime in and say, "I love the Awkward Black Girl shows," or the misadventure of the Awkward Black Girl, affectionately known as ABG. This is only one web series of many success. So we have Robert Townsend and others that are online doing great things. So we're here looking at the Thankful Revolution and Total Praise channel, exploring the question, is the web TV the answer? Who is doing a better job for providing rich, diverse, quality, and non-stereotypical programs for culturally different people of color audience? Is it the traditional networks, or is it internet, web TV? You can scan our QR code to be driven to our various sites to chime in and make your voice be heard, to read and see some of our articles or even some of our videos that we've produced. We're looking to find answers about the web TV. Is that the place now where you can get your quality programs, realistic images, diverse content, culturally enriching, and no typecasting? In the upcoming months, we will continue to interview insiders with the television networks and others like yourself to get your voice and to hear how you feel about the questions and see where we are today in the state of Black television experience. So overall, when we looked at the polls, surveys, Q&As, questionnaires, emails, online forums, all pointed to one major finding. Yes, overwhelmingly yes, change needs to be done when portraying blacks on TV. There were many opinions expressed, but the majority agree that traditional networks are not providing the quality programs sought by the responses. The other arenas such as cable TV, YouTube, and yes, the internet and web TV is making a difference and becoming the avenue sought to filling the void and providing quality black content. In the upcoming months, the Thankful Revolution again will be available here as your avenue, as your gatekeeper, as your bank of research and quality material that you can find answers for these questions. You can go to thankfulrevolution.com. You can look us up on Facebook, Twitter. You can look us up into LinkedIn, YouTube. We will continue to provide articles, polls, research, and other multimedia information about the Black TV experience. Again, you can reach Miriam Stevens, the president of the Thankful Revolution, at miriamsmithstevens@yahoo.com or the website at thankfulrevolution.com. You can even call the Google Voice 757-751-0107. The Thankful Revolution is always here, making life better for you and others here on earth as it is in heaven. And please use your phone, your mobile device, and scan in our QR code to be driven to our website and find out more information. And in the following slides, you'll be able to see some of our backstory, the videos that we've created on this subject. why we wanted to broach the topic, and where we are today. Thank you again. We hope that all of you all have a wonderful, prosperous, great new year. 2012 is now here, and we at the Thankful Revolution want to wish you Godspeed and great blessings. Visit again our main site, and we say, God bless you. Shalom. Hi, I'm Miriam Stevens. I am a student at Full Sail University getting my Master's of Art degree in New Media Journalism. That's me behind the camera sitting in Union Station in Washington, D.C., September 2011. I was checking out my Facebook page, as I'm always on Facebook and Twitter and MySpace and YouTube. I am a social network junkie. I was also getting a bite to eat and really took out my camera to take some just general snapshots of the crowd, enjoying the view, looking at all the different hues of people, of society, different walks of life, trying to figure out what their story is, wanting to see and hear and find out more about who they are behind that camera that I was shooting a photo of. Well, a lot of us have that same impression of who we are just because of what we see, the images and the photos we see on television. And so what I decided to do is look at, for my thesis topic, the Black TV experience. I'm going to see if is the internet and web TV filling the void for providing quality programs? Are we always just going to be stereotyped as great athletes? Are we always going to be stereotyped as someone who is loud and obnoxious? Are we just those buffoons that are shown in old movies, or even currently today? We got loudmouth talking in reality shows. The Black TV but really, where's the quality? Are we always just going to be seen as clowns? We got to get rid of those images. We got to show that the Black human experience, the life of a Black person is full of quality, and there's a lot out there to be heard.